r/AskReddit. What's a common fact that's actually incorrect? It's not dangerous to wake a sleepwalker. They won't have a heart attack or be put into a coma. They'll just be confused and it won't be pleasant for them. That's it. And depending on what kind of dream they're in, they might hit you. I know some people that it doesn't matter what their dream is. No one was ever burned at the Salem witch trials. They were all either hanged, died in jail, or crushed by rocks. You can put birds back in their nests. The mother will not reject them. I learned this when I was little. Being the idiot I was, I thought hitting a tree with my T-ball bat was a good idea. I ended up accidentally knocking 3 baby birds out of a nest. The mother was not home, so I put them back in the nest. I checked up on them when the mother would go out. A few times they fell out again, so I would put them back in. Eventually time passed and they grew into strong little birds. They all ended up flying away eventually. Was a nice ending to a stupid decision by my like 8-year-old self. It's commonly said that lightning never strikes twice in the same place. In fact, it does, and frequently. Lightning has literally struck the Empire State Building thousands of times. You most probably weren't the fastest sperm cell. The egg has an outer protective layer that takes several sperm to wear down before fertilization. Honestly, you were probably one of the slowest sperm cells who arrived too late to do any work but still won the race of life. Also, the egg actually has a number of chemical barriers that select sperm with certain attractive chemical markers. The egg actually chooses which packet of DNA makes it to fertilization. Edit. Also, since a lot of people are calling the egg stupid, the chemical marker the egg chooses are decided upon the conditions before the conceiving period. For example, if a mother eats a lot of good nutritious food, the chance of having a boy gets significantly increased. There are not different sections of the tongue for each taste. When I was a kid they had us take one of those standardized tests on the computer. One reading article went on and on about the taste sections of the tongue. I've believed this my whole life. Humans eat 8 spiders a year in their sleep. Spiders generally like cool, dry places. The inside of your mouth is not an appealing place for them. Spiders Georg, who lives in cave and eats over 10,000 spiders each day, is an outlier and should not have been counted. We only use 10% of our brain power. You always use 12 watts. That is the total power of the brain. Pretty sure my parents would disagree with that. Why is that? Are they neuroscientists? No, they think I'm retarded. The phrase wasn't Luke, I am your father. It was no, I am your father. Oh yeah, the Abraham Lincoln effect. Daddy longlegs are the most venomous spiders in the world, but they can't bite you. I hate this one so damn much. Daddy longlegs spiders are not venomous to humans at all. No, they can't bite you. But even if they could, you won't die or come anywhere close. Edit. Apparently they aren't even spiders either. WTF. Another edit. Guys, read the comments before you post that they can bite. Other people explain that for you down there. That it takes 7 years to digest gum. That one always made me laugh. Like, why wouldn't you just shit out the gum with everything else? Why would it just chill in there while everything else kept going through? Made no sense, lol. Gladiator games in ancient Rome were not 2 men go in, 1 comes out. The figure I've seen in most studies is a chance of 1/9 for a gladiator to die during a munus that he took part in. That's huge, of course, but still means that, in most cases, it wasn't a fight to the death. If people knew that the vast majority of gladiators were highly trained entertainers, they'd know that of course they weren't killed often. Most were slaves, yes, but their masters spent a large amount of time and money to shape them for the games. Hell, it wasn't even uncommon for a slave gladiator to buy their freedom and remain a gladiator. Fights to the death were generally accidents or were public executions for criminals, albeit with a couple of extra steps for the entertainment of the crowd. These fights were in the minority. You don't defibrillate someone to revive them from death. Defibrillators are used to fix irregular heartbeats, not restart a stopped heart. He's flatlining. Nurse, get the defib. Clear, bomph, clear, bomph, come on, don't you die on me. Clear, bomph, bip, bip. Fact then, putting butter on a burn will heal it. fact now. Don't try it. Well, if you top it with raspberry jam it should work. The belief that Jingle Bells was written to be a Christmas song. Wrong, it was intended to be a Thanksgiving song. I thought it was about Batman's lack of personal hygiene. The beverage used by Jim Jones to kill all of those people was not Kool-Aid. It was another brand called Flavor Aid. That Adolf Hitler was an atheist. Actually, Hitler was raised Roman Catholic, but when he wrote Mein Kampf he believed that God created the peoples. SS members were also required to believe in God as well. Hitler also referenced God in many of his speeches. The Tuskegee syphilis experiment didn't involve injecting people with syphilis, as is commonly believed. It's still used as the go-to example of unethical medical experiments. However, because it involved observing the progression of untreated syphilis and not treating subjects with penicillin when it became available, and they lied about it, these people, mostly black, were told they were getting treatment. That fish have a 3-second memory, they have up to a 3-year memory. I thought that was supposed to be their attention span. Walking around barefoot is not a way to catch a cold. It is a way to get ringworm though. Paul Revere was not a hero of any kind. First, he never would have said the British are coming because they were all British. Not to mention, it would have alerted the British forces where he was with all his yelling. All Paul Revere did was ride 12 miles and then get caught. Also, he wasn't the only rider. The accurate event, and one that is way more compelling and interesting, was Sybil Ludington. She was only 16 years old. Prior to her famous ride, Sybil saved her father from capture. A loyalist named Ichabod Prosser and 50 other loyalists tried to capture her father, but Sybil lit candles around the house and organized her siblings to march in front of the windows in military fashion, creating the impression of many troops guarding the house. The loyalists fled. 9. On the 26th of April, 1777, Sybil Ludington rode her horse, Star, 40 miles through the night in Putnam County, New York, to alert 400 revolutionaries of the upcoming arrival of British soldiers. Young Sybil carried a stick on horseback to bang on the doors she passed, cutting down on her travel time. Her heroism brought George Washington to her house to personally thank her. So why does Paul Revere get the credit? He had a publicist. You don't need to wait 30 minutes after a meal to go swimming. All Italian grandmas dislike this element. People actually did expect the Spanish Inquisition. They were given a 30-day period where they could confess their sins before the Inquisition would come for them. Another one is cow tipping. Cows don't sleep standing up. The ones standing are usually on like a guard duty to alert the others who are sleeping should a danger arise. No one is sneaking up on an awake cow and pushing it over. Last one off the top of my head is the old sugar in the gas tank. That's not gonna do anything. No engine death. Syrup in the cylinders, etc. Sugar doesn't dissolve in gasoline and the sugar isn't going to make it past the fuel filter into the engine when it gets sucked up the pump. Worst case scenario, you clog the filter and spend about $6 to replace it. That the Great Wall of China is visible from space. No man-made object is visible from that high up. There's no solid division between left and right brain. The left side can learn right brain skills and vice versa. That's similar to how my neurologist described my diagnosis of epilepsy to me. That one part of my brain was teaching the other how to have seizures. Napoleon wasn't short. He was actually 5 feet 7, which was considered average to tall height for the time. Apparently the only way we can surmise that the urban legend started that he was short was because of the difference between English and French imperial units, which led to his height seeming small by British figures. It was also propaganda. Sherlock Holmes never said, "Elementary, my dear Watson." Dogs don't sweat through their tongues, they sweat through their footpads. That nobody loves you. There are only 3 states of matter: solid, liquid and gas. There is also plasma as well as other special situations such as superfluids. There's a whole chart with pressure versus temperature and all of the various states of matter. It's really interesting. For example, there's ice 7, which is water that's not cold enough to freeze, but turns into ice because of the sheer amount of pressure that it's under. This is something men probably don't know. Period blood doesn't just flow out constantly. It can stop for a while and continue. One time my flow stopped for an entire day and I stopped wearing pads because I thought my period was over, just to be happily reminded that my body hates me by staining my favorite jeans the next day and continuing to do so for a few more days. Shit is all digested and unprocessable food waste, when really up to 50% of it is dead bacteria cells. That much chunky hard bacteria is just sitting in my body. There's that much in there that it densities into 50% shit and still takes up lots of space. That a tomato isn't a vegetable. A tomato is technically a fruit in the botanical sense because there's no such thing as a vegetable in botany. A vegetable is a culinary term and a tomato would be classified as one. Dogs don't age 7 years for every human year. Multiple factors determine age equivalency in dogs. Average dog lifespan is around 8-12 years. If you multiply that by 7, you get 5684, which is roughly equivalent to humans. That's where the concept of dog years comes from. Maybe not so much a fact, but I feel it is common that people think the electricity in their home is not really dangerous and can't kill them. As an electrician, I can tell you that is 100% false. Kirk never said, "Beam me up, Scotty," in Star Trek. Oh, yes sir, Snotty beamed me twice last night. It's okay to drink milk when you've got a cold. It won't give you more mucus. Will you tell my mom this? Shaving will make it come back thicker, if so then we'd have huge painful black, orange, blonde, brunette or orange branch sized hairs growing from our body by now. If you shave, LOL. That I'm not as funny as I think I am according to my wife. Nah, mate. She's just jealous. You're hilarious. It's not the volts that kill you, it's the amps. Amps don't even exist without volts. But volts do exist without amps. It does take a certain amount of current, amps, to kill you. But it also requires a certain amount of voltage to push that current through you. If the voltage is not high enough, then it cannot push that current through your body. The higher the voltage, the more easily it can push current through you and do some killing along the way. Which one does the killing? They both do. Similar to getting hit by a bus. You need the bus, and you need the bus to have velocity in order for it to run you down. There is only one type of chemo. For those of you unfortunate enough to know the truth firsthand, I'm sorry, but while talking about the different types of chemo I've been on, dozens of people have asked, wait, isn't there only one kind of chemo? No, my innocent child, no. You shouldn't tilt your head back if you have a nosebleed. It causes the blood to run backwards and down the throat, and you can choke on it, or it could even enter your stomach. Cold doesn't get you sick. Could just weakens your immune system, which makes it easier for you to get sick. Eating carrots doesn't improve your eyesight. In World War II, the British had come up with a novel way to spot incoming German bombing raids radar, but to keep the Germans from discovering it, they attributed their Ask Me Anything's ability to spot airplanes at night to their AA crews eating lots of carrots. Thanks to British deadpan humor, people have been believing this crap for 80+ years. That if you encounter an alligator, you should run in zigzag. Do one zag and just run straight. A lot of things the US government passed off as facts about psychedelics in the 60s and 70s have been proven false. For example, LSD doesn't rot your brain or cause psychosis. It can exaggerate pre-existing psychosis, though. That it takes the Earth 24 hours to rotate one time. It actually takes the Earth about 23 hours and 56 minutes to rotate once. In reference to the rest of the universe, however, the Earth is traveling around the Sun, so it takes the Earth another 4 minutes, or so, to return to the same position it was relative to the Sun. Chameleons do not change color based on the background. It's based on health, temperature, and mood. The AR in AR-15 stands for assault rifle. It actually stands for Armalite. The company that engineered the rifle, edit, changed the grammar to better show the fact and the fact. Sorry, I've always struggled with grammar. Rick never says play it again. Sam in Casablanca. Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.